And we're live. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Doc Tales. We have as our guest tonight Pat Kelly from Real Beast. Welcome, Pat.
What's going on, y'all? How you doing?
Hi, Rob.
Nope. I see my wife has already found the stream. Ain't you sleeping?
Oh, Kelly, that's your wife?
Yeah, Kelly Guest down there. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Cool. Why don't we start with the hot topic of this past week? What were your thoughts on Capcom?
Well, that was my first official Capcom. I've been trying to come for several years, and stuff would just get in the way. You know, we had the whole sick thing the world went through, and it finally got a chance to come to it, and it absolutely just it blew my mind. To be honest with you, I really wasn't expecting that much packed in one area, like people and products, and it just, like we were saying earlier, we were a little bit behind the scenes. I just was like a kid in a candy store. I couldn't focus. Everything shiny was catching my attention. Every time I turned my back, somebody was, hey, Pat, I'm like, hey, and just almost too much for me. It was a sensory overload, but it was incredible. I actually enjoyed the atmosphere.
Uh-huh. Did you pick up anything there? Or?
Yeah, I actually, what is the name of the company? It's, I think they're called Chubby Fish. I seen they had a booth set up, and Bobcat Outdoors. Oh, Bob, he's been trying to convince me to go bumping with him. I've never done it, so I needed to pick up a bumping rod, and I needed to pick up some weights and things to go try it. So I got a good bumping rod. It was a Shattercat, and I got some rattles and all the fancy things you see on the poles nowadays. So I got some stuff to try out, and I guess it's a decent bumping setup. I mean, him and Daryl approved, and they're the bumping guys. So
yeah, Bobcat did your logo, didn't he?
The logo, no. Now he did my stickers.
Yeah, that's what I meant. The stickers.
Yeah, I hit him up probably, honestly, a little too late. I should have gave him more time, but I didn't think about it. When I started hearing how many people were going to come to CatCon, I was like, oh my God, I don't have enough stickers. So I reached out to him and I said, dude, how fast can you make me 100 stickers? And he's like, honestly, I got other people that are wanting stickers too. He goes, but I'll try. And he actually made me 50 of my old logo and 50 of the new logo.
Nice.
So, but the case that they came in is just as full as when I got it from stickers everybody else was giving me while I was there, because I would take one out and put one of theirs in.
Right.
So it looks like there's no stickers missing right now. It's still just this full box.
Yeah, I think I saw Bobcat. He was making yours one day. The first time I saw him, he was live, and we were so impressed with the work that he did. Michelle actually contacted him behind my back. I had no idea we were going to have a sticker, and she talked to Bob, and they worked it out, and he came out with a great sticker for us too. So, and I didn't order enough either, and I hit him up towards the end. Could I get another 100?
Yeah, I gotta sit down and count and see how many I actually handed out, because it looks like I gave out little over half of them.
Wow.
Like total, yeah. I'm pretty sure it's close to 50, 55 stickers I gave out.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be about what I had too. Yeah, somewhere in that ballpark. I didn't give out as many on day 2 because there weren't as there were less people that were just there Saturday. I gave out a ton on Friday.
Right. Do you happen to stick one on oh man, God,
Chris's trailer?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we were talking a little bit ago about the things that I had to do on day 2, and every time I went by Chris's booth, he was tied up. And then finally, towards the very end, I said, I got to go over there, and he was doing the podcast with Dieter Melhorn. And so by the time I actually got to him, they were starting to pack up. But when I gave him the sticker, he says, come on, let's go. And he walked me over and put it right on the trailer for me. So that was great.
Yep.
you almost can't see the trailer anymore on one side. It's all stickers.
Yeah, right. All right, so why don't we call out some chat, Jody? Would you mind?
All right, let me get over here and get started. I'll start from the top. We got Down East Tackle. How you doing? Whisker Dreams, Ricky. He's ready to get the party started. James Kirkpatrick, Heidi. Miss Annette Morgan. Then we got Kelly Guest, which we all know who that is. It's the Mrs. Heidi. How you doing tonight? It's all mine, Michelle. Then we have, scroll on down, Chucky Morgan. Uncle Jeep. Jeep. Then we got Dale Hayslip, who says hello, Catfish family. Art, One Ton Fishing Club, how you doing? My girl Catfishing with Calls, she's in here. Then we have, it's Skin and Scales Fishing, how you doing? Lance McCougar, Heidi. Quiet Man Curtis, how you doing? Marillo Family Fishing, Heidi. Miss Lisa Elliott, good to see you. Then we have, I think we're getting close to the end right here. Uncle Josh, he's in here tonight. Fishing Chick, Heidi. And David Smith, how are you doing? Take Down Catfishing, Mr. Ken Powers, how are you tonight? And I think we're almost to the end. Freddie's Outdoor Adventures, hi, how are you? And I believe that's it.
All righty. And I just wanted to mention, because when I first opened this up, Jimmy Graham was first, and I don't see him here now. So he was ahead of Down East Tackle. He was second on the list when I opened up. So welcome, everybody. And just a little bit of notes here on the description part of the show here on the homepage there. We have a lot of links for tonight. Obviously, we have Pat's channel, Real Beasts. Jody with her YouTube and Facebook page, and the Woman of Catfishing group. Kelly Bullock is on tonight's list. He's on the drive to 500. He's only 9 away. Hopefully, if somebody doesn't have Kelly, they could pick him up. We have Bobcat Outdoors on the list tonight with the Horizon Graphics. Check him out. He does outstanding work. We have It's All Mine on the group on the list tonight. She delivers food to the dock for everybody that comes to fish with us. And she has her own cooking channel. We have Creole Catfishing. He's trying to get his hours up. He has his 1K, but he needs some hours. So please consider giving him some time if you can. Chad Fields, Fields to Water, is trying to rebuild his channel after YouTube stuck it to him, and the same with Jeremy Colvin. They're both working their way back. Jerry Parker's on the list tonight. He has 912. He's getting close. And we also, as always, have Uncle Lou's Tackle and Tidal Weights and Sinkers with Brad Cottle.
Yeah.
So if you need any of those, or please check them out. The links are all in the description. All right, Pat, why don't let's start. Let's talk about your channel. Let's start there tonight.
Well, it's Real Beast. I'll go ahead and hold up one of these beautiful stickers that Bob did for me, in case y'all
those are sharp.
what kind of work he does. It kind of blew my mind. So
yeah,
that's the old logo. The new one, we have a catfish in there. I don't have one close by, so. My channel, a lot of people think my channel just kind of like showed up out of nowhere and like just got a ton of subscribers. But actually, me and my two buddies, my two partners, we started this channel 3 years ago. And when we first started it, we weren't exactly kind of sure the direction it was going to go. You know what I mean? Like especially myself, I fish for anything. If it bites, I go for it. And there's one thing that YouTube doesn't really like. It's being all over the place. It likes you to do the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So, we had videos. If you look at our older stuff, we had bass fishing, cat fishing, brim, crappie, all in the same videos. And it just, we didn't exactly grow fast. Like some of these channels you see, they're talking about they get 900 subscribers in a year. Our first year, we only got about, I think we reached 100 subscribers after a year.
Mm.
And I still to this day feel like we had really good content. Like I go back and watch this, like, wow, man, in some ways I feel like our old stuff is kind of better. And I don't know, it's got a nostalgia feel to it. But the truth of the matter is we really love saltwater fishing, and shark fishing is kind of like that's my thing to do. That's what I absolutely love to fish for the most. But 90% of the time I'm catfishing because I'm here. I'm closer to the river, and I love any big dumb fish that'll pick up a bait and fight hard. I don't like hard fish like trout that are hard to catch. I like the dumb brutes that'll put up a fight.
Yeah.
Here recently, we decided to swap from the shark logo to the catfish because that more accurately, depicts what we do. Most of the time, like. I catch big catfish out of kayaks from the bank. I've got bigger catfish from my kayak than I have a bank now, so I'm trying to catch up with it. But
Wow.
Truth be told, if it'll pick up a bait and a hook, especially bottom fish, and I love any fish that'll bite on the bottom, I go for it. So
what?
I was just going to say real quick that originally the channel was started to show people that you could still catch big fish out in the world, and it's kind of more from that more to not only showing what we do, but also kind of trying to teach people along the way, really.
And what was your PB cat in the kayak?
Right now, it's a 55-pound flathead.
Wow.
I caught it last year. According to people I've talked to, they say it's bigger than 55. I didn't have a scale. I went by measurements and what I could find online. Flatheads are different than blue cats. Blue cats, you can get a pretty accurate weight from like the length and the girth, but flatheads are different. So it had a weight range. It said this length flathead, which it was 46 inches long, would be between 55 and 65 pounds. I'm not going to claim 65 if I don't know for sure. So I took the lowest number on that range.
Yeah, I'm amazed at the kayak fishing. Obviously, I'm probably not stable enough to think I would try that, but it amazes me when you see guys catch those big fish and they just pull them up into their lap. I'd have that thing flipped over, I'm sure.
I really wasn't sure what I was going to do. I told my buddy before I went up there, this was my first time trying for, trophy catfish out of the kayak. I've done saltwater fish, but I never caught a massive saltwater fish. So I knew I had better chances at a big catfish. I told him, you watch that weekend, I'm going to catch a big catfish, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Because I don't know, once I get him in this thing with me, I'm not sure what to do with him. So that weekend, I actually caught 2 big catfish. I caught a 44-pound blue cat, and then the next day I caught the 55-pound, actually it was a 43-pound blue cat. The next day was the 55-pound flathead, and the blue cat was a nightmare. The flathead just came right in after he was done fighting. When I put him in the kayak, he was docile. He didn't even move. The blue cat like to killed me.
Yeah, I remember during one of the first the Palmetto Iron Cat tournaments, Stan 3 he had like 3 fish that were between 48 and 52 pounds on at the same time, and him and Dan from Green Machine were together. And it was it was dark at that point, and it was like Dan actually had to land him on his kayak so they could get the measurements, and that was impressive.
Actually, that flathead that I caught, I had a blue cat on another pole hit, and I almost lost it because it's the old style rod holders. They just
Yeah.
twist in. Well, he hit
Okay.
going the opposite direction, so he unwound it. So
You
I
unspun it.
was I was holding the flathead rod in between my legs and reeling with my right hand and using my left hand to try to save that rod from going over. It ended up being
Yeah.
like a 10, 15-pound blue, but I couldn't imagine with two giant fish hooked at the same time in a kayak.
Mhm.
Right. Have to drag them to shore at that point.
Well, I'm hoping I find out this year. I'm hoping I get 3 of them on at once. I wanna fight.
Well, I see on your stats, it looks like you have 226 videos. That's impressive.
I can't
And
believe
896 subs. You're only 4 away from the 900 mark. So
Woo.
let's see if we can get you over that tonight.
it's been a grind on the videos. I'll be honest. It's hard to come up with videos consistently whenever you're working the kind of hours that
Mhm.
I usually do. But the subscribers, believe it or not, I believe at the beginning of last year, I had just reached 400 subscribers. So within a year, I've put all the rest of them on. So
Wow.
it's been a productive year.
Mhm.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And just to let
And you
everybody
start.
on the camera, sorry, just let everybody on the camera know I'm not eating candy. I'm still sick. I'm having to eat cough drops left and right just to talk.
So let's go back in time a little bit here. What's your earliest memories of fishing?
That's earliest memory. I think the first thing that I actually can remember, um, I was about 6 or 5. I remember my sister putting a hook all the way through my finger. I think that's
Oh,
the
no.
I think that's the first memory that I can actually go that far back. We were brim fishing, and she was running around, whipping the pole back and forth, and I walked behind her, and the cork and bobber and went around my finger. When she pulled it, it pulled a brim hook all the way through the end of my finger.
Oof.
That was the first memory.
I kind of had a similar story. I stepped on a what Massachusetts. They have black bullheads, but the name that they're called up there are hornpout, and I didn't know what it was, and I stepped on it to try to get the hook out of it, and put that top dorsal fin right through the bottom of my sneaker, and that was the last time I ever did that.
Oh man, it's hard to get them out of your foot too.
Oh yeah. Luckily, most of it was I had Pro Keds, I believe they were at the time, and there was so much rubber on the bottom of it. Most of it was still in there, but I didn't even tell anybody, tell my mom or not, because she probably wouldn't let me go anymore. So,
Right.
so have you always fished for catfish, or?
Um, uh, so growing up, like the first pictures that my family has of me, my dad, this is like his claim to fame. He taught me to fish before I could walk. So I caught my first bass. I think he said I was 8 months old.
Wow.
He gave me a Batman pole,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
he taught me how to cast it. So I wish I could have got the picture today, but I couldn't find it. I have to show it to you one day, but he sat me by the lake, put a rubber worm on it, and he let me cast it. I think he said I cast it like 5 feet. Like that's
Yeah.
as far as I got. But he said there was a little bass on bed. He was watching it, picked it up, and I set the hook and reeled it in myself. So
Great.
that was his like claim of like manhood. Like my son caught his first
Yeah.
fish on his own before he was
Yeah,
4 years old, and
that's great.
I had an obsession with bass for a long time, and I still do. Like I catch everything. I love fishing for everything. In my family, you're not counted as a fisherman unless you catch a bass over a certain weight. Uh,
Oh.
and we have an open contest that's been going on since I was before I was born. It was when they were all kids.
Mhm.
So my dad is first place in the family with a 14-pound 2 ounce no 6 ounce bass.
Wow.
I'm second place now. I've got a 12-pound, 8-ounce bass, which I've caught
My
two.
goodness.
I've not been able to break the 13-pound range. And then I've got my uncles and aunts behind me. My aunt, she's actually, I think, fifth place with a 8-pound, 6-ounce bass that she caught on her favorite lure, which was a hula popper.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah.
the obsession for bass fishing was serious, especially in my teenage years, because I was trying to beat the rest of my family.
Mhm.
That's all I do is trophy bass fish. If I go for them,
Mhm.
I throw lures. I'll show you real quick. I throw stuff like this for them constantly.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
this is an 8-inch bait right here. It's
Yep.
I can't remember what it's called, like a zombie shad. So I'm fishing for giant bass, but it was actually I was bass fishing and I thought it was the world's biggest largemouth. I felt just a wham on my rubber worm. I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be like an 18-pound bass. I mean, this thing liked to snatch the rod out of my hand. Set the hook. I think I was like 16 is when I first really started fishing for catfish. This story takes place when I was 14. I set the hook, fighting it. It is taking drag, and I didn't know it never jumps. I didn't know what the heck it was. It ended up being a 12-pound channel cat had grabbed the rubber worm, and I like to never got him in on that bass pole. It was just like I think I was using light line, like 8-pound line,
Mhm.
just really really light. And I mean, it destroyed me. And from that day forward, I was like, man, if this guy fights this hard, because our lake has got some blue cats in it, and there's some
Mhm.
30-pounders in there. We've seen them.
Yeah.
Eventually, we caught some. How hard will those fight?
Right.
Well, after
Mhm.
getting my line broke like 30 times, I realized I had to start using bigger and better equipment. We started catching some of those bigger blue cats. And then from that day forward, I was like, man, if it's big and it puts up a fight, I'm going to start fishing for it.
Yeah. Bobcat says bass taste like tofu.
I make bass fishermen mad because I eat bass.
Yeah.
I let most of my fish go, but when we have a fish fry, all fish are game. Now we don't eat any trophy sized fish, and that's in any species.
Hmm.
But
You know, I remember as a kid, we would bring the bass home, and I just don't remember them being all that flavorful. I mean, I got into the tournament thing. I did bass tournaments for the better part of 30 years, and I let them all go, but yet I'd keep a crappie, I'd keep a walleye, I'd keep a striper. I just didn't really have an interest in the largemouth. Probably because some of the waters I caught them in too probably wasn't the best, but
well, the largemouth, in my opinion, don't taste bad, but they're not like the better tasting fish. If we catch a 3-pound bass is a good meal. If
yeah.
you want flavor, especially my dad, he'll throw everything away to eat a brim. He loves bluegill and shell crackers. His most favorite eating fish. He'll give you a grouper off his plate before you touch his shell cracker.
Yeah.
That's great.
You showed a big bait a second ago for bass. Is that your strapper bait back there in the background?
Yeah, I've never really won anything. The
Yeah.
local bait store that I buy all these giant lures from that they order me, they put my name in a hat with everybody else. And I think it was Christmas. I won that. They called me up and they were like, "Hey, we got your gift or whatever." First of all, I didn't even recognize the number. I'm like, "Who is this?" They're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, it's so and so from the bait shop. You won the giveaway." I'm like, I didn't even know I was in one. Well, they had entered me because I had spent so much money on these big bass
Yeah.
lures. So I got an even bigger lure.
It's a big one.
I've always wanted one, so it made me happy.
Oh, yeah. We've had a lot more people come in chat. I'm going to call them out real quick. Kevin Baker, his wife's in here. Mad Catter Fishing, Uncle Lou, Tim Molina, Mike's Fishing Home, Rams Bait and Tackle, Mr. Gadget Fishing, Brian B. Cat Fishing, Fat Boy Eric, Bobcat Outdoors, Bugman 22, The Bullock Experience, and Jeremy Colvin Fishing.
All righty. Well, thank you, Jody.
You're welcome.
Um,
Appreciate y'all coming in, watching tonight.
What's up,
Jody?
everybody?
Do you have a question, Jody?
Yeah, there's Jello. He just come in.
Hey, Jello.
Yeah, I got a question. I'm gonna take one of Tom's. Who do you fish with?
Basically, I'll fish with anybody. Now, if you want to talk about my normal crew, because I love fishing. If you love fishing, we're immediately friends as far as I'm concerned. You start talking to me, next thing you know, I'll end up on your boat. My wife will wonder where I'm at. I'll come back in later and be like, yeah, I really don't even know this guy's name, but he's awesome. We fish on the boat for 12 hours.
Mhm.
But my normal crew, it's family first. We love saltwater fish, and that's what my family loves to do. So if you see me on the ocean, my dad and my sister are somewhere nearby. They're not going to let me go fish saltwater without them going.
Yeah.
And then I've got the Real Beast crew, my buddy Alan, and which if y'all saw, I know you met him, Jody. Joe,
Mm-hmm.
we call him Broken Pole Joe. He was up there with me. I do a lot of fishing with him.
Let's see. We had Mark from Catfish and Crappie come in. So, howdy to you.
Mark
And
from Mark.
Mr. Quiet Man Curtis, howdy.
So,
All right. And how long have you been actually catfishing? Did you switch over to catfishing from your bass and stuff?
once I caught that first channel cat, what I would do is no matter what I was doing, I would always be catfishing also. So I started looking into, because back then there really wasn't a ton of information on catfishing, because especially in my area, catfishing is kind of it's a negative fishery. Nobody wants to talk about catfishing. So I had to basically go find books, or I would watch TV shows, and some of the guys would be catching catfish. So I was just watching all kinds of stuff, and found out, obviously cut bait or live bait, depending on what you're going for. So, which this started my obsession with fishing poles. I've got more than you can count, because then now I needed bass poles, and at the time, my thinking was I just need bigger bass poles. They'll still do what I need to. So I would fish 2 or 3 lures, and then I would take a bass rod and I would jam the handle down into the roots of a tree, and I'd throw a bluegill out. My thinking was I could catch a 10-pound bass on the bluegill, or I could catch a 12, 15, 20-pound blue cat, or 10-pound channel cat. So I would always have at least one dedicated catfish pole, no matter where I would go. And so I picked up a lot of good bass that way, and I caught a lot of really good catfish doing that. So that's just for the longest time before I really started dedicating a lot of time to chasing big catfish. Because back then, I still didn't realize how big catfish can get. Because I didn't see very many catfishing shows, and whatever I could just find in books and read back then. So to me, a 15-pound catfish was this huge thing. I didn't realize that in my waters I could catch 40 or 50-pound fish. That wasn't until later.
Okay. That brings me up to this lady right here on the screen. Her name's Kelly Guest, but what's her real name?
Kelly. I gave her an out when we first started dating. I found out her name. I told her, in my family, we've already got a Kelly, but my aunt's name is the last name is Kelley, Kelley.
Oh, wow.
At least my wife's first one is spelled different. But she was the one that wanted to stick it out. She thought it was cute. I'm like, okay, it's a piece of paper and we can't change it no more. But she loved it. And one little story since you got her up here. First time I ever really took her fishing, just because I wanted her to fish with me. We were catching little channel cats and little blue cats with cut up shad. And we done caught like 5 or 6. And she goes, well, what happens if I put a hole in on there? like, we got some big catfish and we're only using 10-pound line. Well, I want to put a whole shad on there. And these are big. These are the big, like, gizzard shad.
Yeah.
I said, okay. I mean, well, we'll try. Immediately, pole just gets slammed. She goes, no, and hands it to me. It ended up being a 14 or 15-pound blue cat.
That's great.
Kelly, I like that name. Let's see. Our next question. You ever caught a sturgeon?
No, I have not caught a sturgeon. But when I lived in Dalton, Georgia, I fished the Tennessee River a bunch. I took my sister up there. She come to visit fishing, and she caught one. It was, estimated at around 50 pounds because the people, I couldn't take it out of the water. I mean, I found out later you could, but the people there would not let me touch that fish. So she caught it on 10-pound line and a cork and a cricket. She was actually brim fishing, and it ate the cricket. It was in his mouth.
Wow.
She fought it for like 25 minutes. I didn't even have a GoPro. That was back when I had trouble remembering a GoPro. So I filmed it with my phone. I got it jumping and everything. And when I was trying to get it in the net just ahead of it so I could get the hook out. I mean, I know it's a little brim hook, but I didn't want to leave a hook in his mouth. But his nose wouldn't let me get him in the net. He kept pushing the net off of his head. So I ended up telling her, hey, look, they won't let me take it out of the water for a picture. I've got video of it jumping. Just break your line.
Yeah.
So she's the only one in the family with a sturgeon. I have yet to do so.
Wow. That's awesome. I've never caught. I've seen one once swim by the boat when I was up on the Potomac River, and I didn't know they had them. But it came right by the side of the boat. I was about 3 feet away from it, and he was just under the surface. So he wasn't a large one. He's probably about 3.5 feet. But at least I got to see one anyways.
Yeah.
They're definitely weird.
Yeah.
When I caught one, I didn't know. When I went to get the hook out, I'm like, where's his mouth at? I had and then I couldn't find his mouth, and I flipped it over, and it's down here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was not expecting that.
What
do you have any hobbies related to fishing that you like?
Oh man, I've got so many hobbies related to fishing. When I finally really took the plunge into fishing, see, my family, they're a fishing family. They didn't realize the monster they were creating when they took me fishing all the time as a kid. Like I've become absolutely obsessed with fishing. My life is consumed by fishing. So I got into I build my own fishing poles. I don't do it now because it's hard to get parts. I just, I'll get back into it when things calm down, but I build my own fishing poles. I make my own leaders. That's shark fishing, cat fishing. I learned a ridiculous amount of fishing knots. I tie my own fly lures. I learned how to fly fish. I mean, I know how to catch fish that I'll probably never get to go fish for. I just sat down, was like, how do you catch muskie? I'll probably never get to catch a muskie, but, just like my whole life is consumed by it. So if there's more hobbies than you can hope for, I guess. I don't know.
I did actually get a couple of tiger muskies. I used to go up when I was bass fishing. I would go to Lake Champlain up in the Vermont side, but right up at the Canadian border, and we'd catch pike to 45, 48 inches, and you get a couple of the tiger muskies mixed in. But I've never caught a true muskie.
Wow. Still though, I mean that's incredible. I love all toothy fish.
Yeah. Well, the big attraction up there was 5-pound smallmouth. These things were like footballs, and you could throw I'd say it's a demon dragon, but it's a Zara spook to us bass fishermen. You could throw that in 25 feet of water in the middle of noon, and those smallmouth will come up and blast it. It was just amazing. We would go every year for Memorial Day and Labor Day, and the fishing every year was better than any other place I've ever fished in my life. I just would leave and I'd be waiting for the next trip, to go back there. And just the numbers of fish and the size of the fish and the fighting the fish up there was just incredible.
That's how I feel about the Tennessee River, and not just for catfish, but bass. My first ever smallmouth bass was the Tennessee River. I didn't even know they had them. Believe it or not, this probably makes some people mad. It might even make you mad, but my first smallmouth, I was teasing with my buddy on a Zepco 202 and a little Zepco rod, just like the little Superman rods, but it was just the Walmart, the Zepco.
Right. Yep.
6.5-pound smallmouth. I never got him in. It was like 23.5 inches long by like 12.5 inches around. Actually, Tennessee gives you what do you call it? The certificates for trophy fish. Got one for him, and I caught another one was almost that big. It was like 5 pounds. So I've actually got 2 certificates for them. Believe it or not, they're hiding here somewhere.
That's sweet.
Yeah, but for your first smallmouth, I was like, oh, I got a little bass. I can feel him. And next thing you know, we're running around with this little 202 around the dock. Like, oh my God, that dock that you see Big Mike fish from is where I got him from.
Really?
So I was off the water a good ways, running around trying to get this thing. Yeah. And it was a nightmare, but we landed him, believe it or not, on a little golden brim hook and a little minnow.
That's awesome.
Pure luck.
Yeah, that don't make me mad. I love stories like that.
It was pure luck. There was maybe some skill, but it was 90% luck on that.
Yeah. Well, I said you're talking about catching catfish when you're fishing for other things. When I'd be bass fishing, I don't know. I probably caught more flatheads bass fishing than I have actually catfishing. They'll hit a jig with anything with a scented trailer on it. And I don't know how many times I really thought I had a big fish of the tournament, and it turned out to be a 10, 12, 13-pound flathead.
Mississippi, when I lived in Mississippi, it's kind of what helped get me more towards flathead fishing. Like you're talking about, you'd be bass fishing. We would catch a good bass, a 3-pounder, and be reeling it in. All of a sudden, it would just stop. I was sitting there like, what in the world am I hung? And then it would start running again. 10 minutes later, you'd pull up a 30-pound flathead, and he wouldn't even be hooked. He'd have the bass sandwiched in his mouth. And several times we pulled the bass from them, and they would swim around the boat looking for the bass, and then they would dive back down. And then we would catch them striper fishing, the jig on the bottom, doing the fluke. You'd feel a whomp. Yeah. That's a flathead. That's not a bass. How can you tell? Like, because it snatched the rod and now it's not moving. It's just sitting there with it.
Yeah. I had interesting thing. Last year I was fishing by myself down at the dock. I was actually fishing for bait, and I was kind of in a hurry, and I got my rod and I threw it in there, and I hadn't filled my bucket with water. And so I caught the first bluegill, and I said, oh, shoot. So I stuck my rod in the rod holder with the fish still on it so I could go get the water. And I heard this slapping noise on the surface, and I turn around, and there's like a 3-pound bass swimming away with that bluegill. The bluegill, only had number 6 Aberdeen hook in his mouth, so there was no way I was going to hook the bass. But, yeah, he picked him up, and he was swimming away with him.
That's funny. I love when that happens.
Yeah. Jody's a little pixelated there.
Me?
Yeah.
How about now?
There you go. Yeah,
there
you're good.
All right. You've had a few more come in chat. Don R., Skull Rush, and Mike Sampson.
What's up, Skull? Yeah.
Welcome all.
Mississippi, man. That's some big old flatheads in there, buddy.
I think that's my goal for this year is try to catch more flatheads. And I know where we fish, there just isn't Of all the fish that I caught last year, I only caught 2 flatheads out of all those fish, and one of them was here off the dock, and it was only 3 pounds, and one was over at Kerr, and that happened to be 35 pounds. So there was quite a difference in the range of the 2 fish. But fishing from the bank, you can't really get into some of them tighter places that you really would like to throw some baits.
Right. Kind of at the mercy of whatever comes by, but I've seen some good fish
Yep.
caught from the bank. So I mean, the chance is always there, especially if there's structure. Because I know a lot of
Yeah.
times when I catch flatheads, it's usually not deep water. It's usually right up against a bank.
Right. Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. When I caught those ones when I was bass fishing, yeah, almost all of them came out of probably a foot and a half water. I'm throwing right on a spot right on the bank
Right. I guess that old
next to a dock piling or something.
that wide head lets them get up real shallow. Try to chase
Yeah.
them minnows and everything else up against that bank.
Yeah.
There's really no escaping them things. I've seen them in a foot of water. Just their backs. I didn't even know what I was looking at. You could see the fins sticking out of the water. It wasn't until it started moving I realized, oh my God, that's a big catfish sitting right there.
Yep.
And they might have been
Yeah.
trying to nest or something. You know how they make nests, but still, it was in a foot of water. His back was sitting out a little. I'm like, geez, man.
Mhm.
How about you, Jody? You got any flathead stories?
Most of mine I don't see because I fish so deep for them. But I have been in like 4 foot of water and see them swim by the boat. The other night, the water be lit up
Mhm.
green, and you see this big flathead come swimming by, and it didn't care it was going by the boat. You just want to reach down and pick it up. I mean, it's so. I just love flatheads; they're my favorite. But I do plan on. I actually
I think,
went fishing for flathead Sunday. I didn't get one.
I saw that on one of 2 stands on stand day Sunday morning, and they were sitting there. They were filming from the boat, and they saw the flathead right under the surface. He swam like from the bank out right towards the boat.
Yep.
They didn't have a hook or anything. He was just swimming, and he was clear. You could see him clear as day in the screenshot. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't see that. I missed that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that goes back to, I believe it was in the early fall. As the temperature was starting to change. But yeah, that was cool to see.
I'm gonna try to go shallow fishing Thursday night and Saturday. As warm as it is, like they say, the fish supposed to be shallow. We'll see.
That's what I hear. Everybody's saying that they're coming shallow, and as warm as it's been, I'd certainly throw shallow.
What do you think, Pat?
Right now, my opinion is kind of jaded because I see what my buddies are catching. They're catching everything in like 15 foot or less, so it's pretty shallow right now. That warm water, it's been super sunny, super hot here. It's been like 80 degrees the last couple days, and it's supposed to be
Wow.
Close to that for the next couple of days after. So the stripes just started hitting a couple miles downstream. So all of that stuff that I've been talking about, y'all have heard that flathead run.
Yeah.
It's right around the corner. When the stripes start running, it's usually a couple weeks after they run. The flatheads will start running, and all these fish are going to be caught in less than 10 foot of water from like now till then. So the only thing I'm waiting on is the skipjack to make it up here, because as soon as they get here, all of this is going to kickstart. So if I feel good enough, which I'm hoping I am, I'm hoping Friday I'm going to go try to hit that spot down in Eufaula. I'll be fishing deeper water, but there's a spot that is casting distance is like 10 foot deep. I'm hoping to put a bait over there and see what I can pull out. Of course, it's getting warm, so it'll probably end up being an alligator at some point.
Oh no.
I had the fortune or misfortune, however you want to say it, of catching an alligator down in Florida on a bass trip. It's kind of funny. We were fishing in shallow water in an aluminum boat, and I hooked him, and I never saw him. He was on the bottom in that murky water, and I reeled him all the way to the boat. And when he was right underneath the boat, my buddy came over, and he was getting ready to net him for me. And all of a sudden, I just see these white jaws, and the mouth is wide open, and he's coming straight up like a torpedo out of the water towards the boat. And my buddy's yelling, get him in, get him in. And I was yelling, cut my line, cut my line. Because it was about a 6-foot alligator. And he was right at the edge of our tin can. And it's like, yeah, that wasn't a good feeling.
We get them. They chase our top waters a lot whenever we're bass fishing down there.
Yeah.
They'll chase your poppers and stuff. You'll see a huge wake, and you'll think it's a huge bass or big stripe or something. And then you'll see those two eyes that are this far apart pop up behind it. And you're like trying to get your stuff in as quick as possible. Because once he gets it, it's his. I'm not trying to get it back from him. Sorry. He's going to have some lip piercings.
Yep. We were down there that same week. One of the guys, the 2 guys who went with us, they were in another boat. They actually had a topwater frog on. And they saw the alligator coming after it, and they played it and let him take it. And they actually hooked him, and they fought him, and he was slashing around next to the boat and all that. And he was bigger than the one that I had. But they had him on. They played with him for about 10 minutes, and then finally they just cut the line because they didn't want to push him too far.
Yeah, you ain't getting that frog back. I mean,
no,
just let him have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody want to know what state you're fishing.
What state I'm fishing?
Yeah.
Most of my fishing. So I live here in Columbus, Georgia, and I fish the Chattahoochee River. But until the fishing here is seasonal, so the fish run from. If you watch my channel, or if you don't, I fish down in Eufaula, Lake Eufaula, which is bordered by Georgia and Alabama. The fish run from down there upstream to this part of the Chattahoochee where I fish at. So right now I've been going to Eufaula. I've been driving 2 hours to fish, but now they're starting to make their way upstream, and that's where we usually catch them, like 100 stripes in a day, or like 20 or 30 flatheads in a day. That's about to start here, but that only lasts for like 2 months. Like they run hard, and then both the stripes and the flatheads are gone. And then I'll be splitting my time between Tennessee fishing for giant flatheads and blue cats, and then Florida for the sharks and the Spanish mackerel.
Now, I've already been catching stripes.
The stripes, yeah.
So they're already starting to run some.
Yeah, we don't have giant ones like Tennessee has. We get every once in a while somebody catches one 20 pounds or better.
Mm-hmm.
But, like the first one I ever caught in Tennessee was 25 pounds. Most of the people down here, when I showed them a picture, like, oh my God, where were you at? So I can go fish this spot. I'm like, oh, sure. If we'll drive 4 hours north to Tennessee, and that's where I caught him. So.
Mm-hmm. Big Mike just stepped in. How you doing?
Hey, Big Mike.
They was talking about skipjack in chat, and there's been a couple of people been buying frozen skipjack and having it shipped to them. And I was going to show them the skipjack I got today.
Oh.
My friend Travis caught me some skipjack today, and that's what I'll be using for tomorrow night fishing and Saturday. But that's what a real skipjack looks like.
Let me switch you, Jody. There you go.
Yeah. That's a good size one. But
that's nice, yeah.
I'm going to load my freezer this year with them. That was my problem. This past year, I didn't have a chance because we were moving into this new house.
Yeah.
I didn't fill the freezer up. So I've been using just all kinds of random baits during the winter time, which turned out to work, carp and stuff, which I got that idea from watching Chunky Cats and Has of them using carp. So I figured why wouldn't it work here, which it did. But this year, I'm filling that freezer up with them skipjack. They're going to last me, dadgummit.
The bigger you get, the better, because they're fresher. They just freeze better and they bleed better when you unthaw them.
Yeah, I'm going to get a vacuum sealer and everything. I'm going to do it the right way. So,
yeah. That's not dinner, Bobcat.
I know the carp work, but I just have no confidence in them. I just don't get bid on them. The times that we've used them, it's like 0 bites across. Like we'll put them on, multiple people will put it on, and we just don't seem to get bid on it where we fish. But yet suckers, that's what I caught my PB on, my blue PB blue. And they seem to work well when we can get them. We just don't have a whole lot of access to them like we do the carp.
Yeah, I didn't think carp would work here. I've never heard of anybody even trying it in this area, but my last couple of lives where I caught fish, it was on carp. I couldn't believe it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't catch it myself either. I was in a Asian market buying some noodles, and they had buffalo on sale, fresh buffalo just caught, and I'm like, wow, I need bait. Well, we're about to find out if they'll eat carp. So I bought a 20-pound carp. I cut him up into chunks, froze some, and I went fishing with him next day. And even the frozen carp, 3 or 4 weeks frozen, was still catching them. They're eating it up.
Yeah.
David has a comment for Jody.
I just got home with them.
Skipjack in the river room.
I put them on ice right before we went live.
You see, it was dripping goo in the living room and everything too.
Yeah. We're in a cooler on ice.
That's great. So Mr. Gadget had a comment. His go-to is perch and bluegill. Yeah, Mr. Gadget fishes Lake Gaston like I do, and bluegill seems to be the ticket here, or white perch when you can get them when they're in the area. We don't have an abundance of shad like they do at some other places. They're tougher to catch from the bank around here.
Right. Skipjack works the best here 90% of the time. But in the next couple of weeks, when the flatheads start running like I was talking about, almost all of them are going to be caught on bluegill. And that's when I'll start keeping a lot of bluegill over the weekend because they'll be eating them up. She just got them sitting on her table, just chilling.
I literally unlocked the living room door, like at 9:47. And the first thing, I didn't fix my hair or makeup or nothing. I took care of my skipjack. Then I went live.
Yeah, some people have a book on their coffee table. She keeps skipjack,
Skipjack just laying there.
Yeah.
It's a good conversation piece. Oh, you have skipjack.
Yeah.
All right, if anybody has questions, if you would, try to put the question mark sign or the stop sign or something so we can try to get in some questions. I hope to get them all. Let's see. Jody, do you have anything else you'd like to ask Pat?
Yeah. I got a couple questions. Everybody likes bacon. Do you like bacon or sausage?
Oh, I'm bacon all the way.
Okay. And then cheddar batter or bologna?
What's that?
A cheddar batter or bologna?
I've never had a cheddar batter, but bologna only if it's fried.
Only if it's fried.
Mm-hmm.
What do you put on your sandwich?
Well, usually, if it's fried bologna, this is a kid thing. This is when we would go fishing before we would go out Saturday morning. My dad would make me and my sister a fried bologna sandwich, and he would cook onions in the pan with it. So he'd put the onion on it, and he'd put spicy mustard.
Okay.
And if we were really, really special, instead of bologna, it would be fried spam.
Oh, okay.
So I woke up in the morning and I smelled either the fried spam or the bologna, I knew we were going fishing. So we went fishing every Saturday.
Oh no, Stan's got a question. Who has been his best
Oh,
guest with the biggest fish on his Monster Monday show?
Oh no. And so far, man, 222 is as big as it's gotten on
Um,
Monster Monday.
uh,
yeah.
I'm saving my monster until a day when somebody doesn't show up, and then I've got something that'll beat it. But until then, that's the biggest.
yep. Your boy Troy, he just stepped in. How you doing? And can't believe you never had a better cheddar.
Yeah.
That's just a cheese Italian sausage dog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're delicious.
It sounds like it. Might have to try
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
I'm
Now,
I was just
okay.
gonna say real quick, I'm bad about sticking to the same thing. If it
Mhm.
wasn't for my wife, there's a lot of stuff that I would never try. So uh to this day, like I said, it's bacon, you know what I mean? Like I better cheddar, I've never even that's just out of habit. Like I keep going back to the things I
Mhm.
like.
Yeah, me too. Now, you've got some hobbies you do, and we'll talk about you've got some we'll skip the fish and then come back to the fishing hobby. But you like to is it cosplay?
I was gonna say if one of the sides of you y'all haven't seen, because my other hobbies, I'm a huge nerd.
Hmm.
Uh, unless you talk about it and we have something to talk about, you'll never know because I just you know. But I'm a massive nerd. Like I've got comic books and
Hmm.
we play tabletop games. I actually my hobbies. I make my own costumes. We go to stuff like Dragon Con. Me
Yeah.
and my wife and our friends like we like characters from movies and
Hmm.
stuff. Like and so I make my own costumes and things. And
That's
then
awesome.
like gaming pieces and stuff. Like I make my own. I model stuff and everything. So um, yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I'm almost as big a nerd as I am a fisherman. So I'm
Yeah.
real nerdy.
Well,
I
they
got
have like big conventions like the Catfish Convention, Catcom. They have them for that also.
oh
Because
yeah.
I've got friends who go to them.
Yeah, the first one I ever went to, like I said, was Dragon Con, and
Hmm.
as big as the Catfish Conference was, it was probably about the tenth of the size of that conference. Like
Hmm.
you see people dressed up as comic book characters, movie characters. You see
Hmm.
people playing games and stuff, and those are massive. There's literally like I don't know, like 70 or 80,000 people packed
Yeah.
within like a couple city blocks. There's not really much movement.
Hmm.
Like you can see behind me, I've got my bookcase, I've got gaming stuff, I got my gaming computer here, comic books, got some Game of Thrones stuff over here. So uh, that's one thing. When I was coming up as a kid, that was still before being a nerd was cool. So I had
Yeah.
to fight to be a nerd. So I'm proud of it. You
Yeah.
can't say nothing hurt my feelings.
Now, what's one of the costumes you've made?
My favorite one I made a couple years ago. I called it the Internet Troll.
Yeah.
So
But that would be,
I ended up making a giant hammer, like the costume. That one I didn't really make as much for that costume. It's my favorite though, just because of what I could do with it. But I ended up making a huge giant hammer, just like out of styrofoam and stuff, and it looked really good. And
hmm.
whenever you're on the internet, you can always get banned from something like, you get banned from chat here. So I had
Hmm.
big letters, the ban hammer, and
Yeah.
I had like the troll face, the internet troll face all over it, and I had a cape made and horns. And what I would do was I would go up to other people that I knew what their costume was, and if they had in the show, if there was a character that was closely related to that one, I would call them by the wrong character name, and I would make them so mad. And I was just doing it to everybody just to
Hmm.
be a troll. And I did that
Yeah.
for like 2 years. I wish I had the stuff to show you. That's the sad part was when we moved into this house, I had to do a massive purge of
Mhm.
all of my hobby stuff, and I'm not getting rid of my fishing stuff. So the costume stuff that I'd been using for a while had to go. I'll make new stuff.
Yeah. I've
I,
always
I've
liked
got-
back in the kings and queens and the knights
Oh
and
yeah,
the wizards and stuff like that. I've always liked that era.
I actually I see down here Hawaiian Fisherman, who is going to be my next Monster Monday, by the way.
Mhm.
oh, great.
D&D is talking about like, yeah, we play that. Like I make my own models and stuff for it. Like it, I'm not talking about little characters either. Like I'm talking like I make stuff that fills up the whole dining room.
Yeah.
I can't keep them all because I don't have anywhere to put it. So it's like a one-time use. I make it,
Mhm.
we get to play, look at it. It's amazing, take pictures, and then I have to trash it and just make something new the next time because I can't put it anywhere. I don't have enough space.
Mhm. Hey,
I've
Matt,
never,
from the outdoors.
I've never done any time of that dress up stuff, but I did. As far as close as I got to that is, It's All Mine made me an Ace Frehley costume for a Halloween party I was going to, and right down there we painted boots silver, and it looked awesome. It's going back about 15 years.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you know who Ace Frehley is, but from the group Kiss
Mm-hmm. I
with
don't
all
know
the
who that
makeup
is.
and all
Oh
that.
yeah, that's funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad
Down East
because
Tackle had a comment.
oh,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say
Go ahead, Pat.
we didn't get to do the last con because the same reason why we didn't get to do the last cat con. So we're hoping this year coming up because it's always in September. We'll get costumes and stuff ready, and we'll probably be heading that way. So we'll at least get to go hang out and see people we haven't seen in a while. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's good.
Down East had a comment. He said he'll take a look at his SD cards. He'll upload a video of him landing an 800-pound swordfish.
Wow.
Just let me know if you
Yeah,
want
I'll
to do
watch that. I'd love to see that.
We'll do a Monster Monday.
Yeah. I would do that medieval days.
Oh yeah,
Did you ever go to any of those Renaissance fairs, Jody?
They don't really have them around here, but I think I found I think it's Marvel. I think they started having them over there, and I'd like to go to it.
nice.
Yeah,
It's been a while since I've done a Renaissance fair.
yeah.
They God, what's the name of it? They got a thing you would probably like in Atlanta. They put on they dress up in knights and ride horses. They put on a whole show. You get to watch as they sword fight. You get a big turkey leg, so you get to
Mhm.
sit there and
Yeah.
gnaw on this giant
Yeah,
turkey
yeah.
leg. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's pretty cool. We've
Yeah,
been
I like stuff like that.
yeah, it's nifty, that's for sure.
Hmm.
I got to read this one. Stan, if you have Down East on, that'll make Stan the second biggest fish.
Hmm.
They say two, two, two.
Well, yours was in freshwater though. He had to go to saltwater to beat it.
That's great. I got to spend a lot of time with Stan at Capcom. We've fished together before, but he lives about 90 miles away, so we don't get together that often. But it was great to see him, hang with him for a while.
That's awesome.
Yeah, It's All Mine says we have the Renaissance Fair here in Virginia. Yes, we do. I think we're caught up. If anybody else has any questions, come on with them. So
Sunfish Assassin. Forgot
I
to say
hear,
hello. To him.
yes, hello, hello. And there's Wannabe. Did we say hello to Matt yet?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't remember, but good, good. So do you have any children, pets?
We got 2 fur babies. We got, and they're basically horses. They're our 2 huge dogs.
Mhm.
Um, and before we lived here in this house, we've only been here, I think, like 7 months now. This is our first home. We were living in an apartment and she wanted a dog, and I thought it was a terrible idea because apartments are not good for dogs. So I told her I'd make an exception. We'll get a small dog. And so she comes home with the cutest dog in the world, and I'm looking at him and I'm like, he don't look like he's gonna be a small dog. So I'm like, what's his mom? So she showed me a picture. His mom was a chocolate lab. We're talking Jack is the first dog we got,
Mhm.
and she was smaller. So I was like, well, it can't be too big. Well, within his first year, he's 85 pounds now. The neighbors were losing their minds as he ran around the living room, and we were in a small apartment too. But then he got depressed because he was the only dog, and I was working all the time and she was working. So naturally we had to get a second dog, and she still wouldn't get a small dog. His mom had a second litter. So we got one of his half brothers, which is Apollo, who also turned out to be like 85 pounds.
Wow.
They look completely different. Jack looks like a bird dog, and Apollo looks like a lion with half a mane. But they're same mom. They're half brothers, and now they're both. We got a backyard now, which is great. Um, their favorite thing to do now is because they're kind of hunting dogs. They want to hunt, at least they think they do. So these big old fishing poles, when I can't go fishing, what I'll do is I'll tie their favorite toy up and cast
Mhm.
it around the yard, get them to chase it.
Yeah.
And then, to tire them down, I'll lock the drag down and let them fight against the drag for a while. And I realized real quick I had to up my tackle because they kept consistently breaking 60-pound mono. So I had to go to 80
Oh, wow.
on one of my Pen 4-aughts and have to lock it down to slow them down. But like I did that today since I couldn't work being
Yeah.
sick. By the time I was done with them, they could barely get in the house. I had to drag them in, and it felt good. It's like a big fish,
Yeah. We have a black lab. He's about 75 pounds. He's about 5 years old though. He's not getting any bigger. But and a German short-haired pointer, and she's about 65 pounds. And she's like 13 years old though, so she's getting a little slow in her movements.
Well, they're
But the other one, he's all muscle. He's a beast.
they're still babies. I mean, it doesn't look good on the screen, but that's Jack. So he's the
Oh
oldest.
wow.
He just turned 2, and then this is
Mhm.
his brother Apollo, which he just turned 1. So,
Sweet.
and he was a
Very
Christmas dog.
nice.
He was born on Christmas night. So,
Huh.
but yeah, those are our
Yeah.
kids. That's the only 2 kids that we're planning on having unless something changes. We live, we're just we're too busy and doing too much, and
Mhm.
honestly too selfish to have kids. Like it was already pretty bad on the poor dogs. She's a teacher. She works late nights sometime.
Mhm.
I'm always working either construction. I'm back painting. Those are long hours usually, and then 90% of the time I'm either fishing or building something. She's doing something that doesn't really, it don't leave much time for
Yeah.
anybody else. So we're actually okay with just being dog parents.
Yeah.
Well, we had 3 boys that have grown up and moved out, and we're down to the 2 dogs, and that's good for us. If you ever want to feel loved, leave your dogs for 4 days to go to CatCon, and then come home and see what happens.
Oh man, mine lost their minds. I had to come back early because I was sick, like we were
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about. So when I come in, it was late. I didn't get in I drove, I think it was 11 hours the total time.
Yeah.
And so it was late. And when I come in, they woke up. They were excited, but they were tired. So I didn't really get attacked until the next morning when they woke up. Then
Mhm.
they were jumping on me in the bed like they strangled me to death.
Yeah. Yeah, when I come in, I keep their leashes right by the door on an end table with the flashlight, and it was dark by the time we got home, and they were just sitting there waiting for me. You know, they were jumping up and down, and it was like I couldn't even come in and say hello. I had to drop what I had in my hands and take them out because they weren't going to give me any peace until I did go
Right.
for a walk.
Now,
Hey,
what's oh, I'm sorry, you go ahead.
real time said I want to just get sub. John says he wants to fish the dock someday. John, we're
Mhm.
going to get you here, buddy. I swear to God, we will. As soon as we start catching a couple of fish, I'm going to call you and you're going to come here and we're going to have a blast. I can't wait to fish with you. It's just the bite hadn't been there. There's no sense in coming over other than just to hang out and have a good time. But I want to see you catch some fish off this dock. So
Yeah.
your day is coming, John, and it's coming soon with this warm weather. So hang in there, buddy. I'll be calling you.
You've had some more people come in chat. You got Van Diesel, V3, John Parker, Kayak Mike, Susquehanna Stan. Welcome, everybody. Okay, we talked about your hobby of, with the costumes and building for the games and stuff. Now you've got some fishing hobbies that you like to build. You got some flies you do and some poles.
Oh yeah. Like I said earlier, I tried to get into what's he got on there? Oh, the Iron Cat.
Yeah, Stan's been here a couple of times, couple of visits. Yeah, we fished one of the Iron Cat tournaments that we lost to Bex.
Oh no.
We got to actually talk to her at Capcom, Stan and I. We had a good time talking about that night.
That's funny. Yeah, actually Bex was in the same hotel that we were
Yeah.
staying at. Like I was seeing everybody. I'm like, wow, everybody stayed in this place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as the hobbies go, there's not too many people I know that like fishing like I do. Like I got into it and I probably drove my family crazy because it was from one aspect to another. So it started with learning fishing knots. And to this day I'm still reverse teaching my dad who, originally taught me my first few knots.
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that I learned, I'm teaching him now, which is funny to me. But then it was building leaders, which I really got into building leaders when I got into shark fishing because they just until now, nice.
Hey, Mike, welcome.
What's up, Mike? When I got into shark fishing, there wasn't anybody who made good quality shark leaders at the time. So I had to kind of take, and back then I was working offshore. So the knowledge that I learned for, braiding steel cable and stuff, I put into making leaders that would work for me shark fishing. And so that led into, catfish leaders and, fly, which that led into the fly fishing, tying the fly line. And I started making my own flies. Nobody around here fly fishes, so I had to learn that on my own. Taught myself to fly fish, and then when I first started doing that, I didn't even have flies. I got a fly rod and I tied, I think it was a rubber worm, onto a hook to teach myself how to do a fly rod. And believe it or not, this is at my grandmother's lake. I ended up catching an 8-pound largemouth bass on the rubber worm tied on the fly rod. So that cemented fly fishing for me. Now I've caught stripes on it, redfish down in the ocean, giant carp. I've caught bigger carp on the fly rod than anything. I've got some 40-pound carp that I've caught on the fly rod.
Wow.
Like to burn your fingers up when they first take off.
Yeah.
So I got a stand and got the materials. I do a lot of flies. I make them out of rabbit fur and deer hair. I just like how they how they move in the water, especially the rabbit fur. Man, that stuff just sitting in the water, it looks like it's moving on its own, just like you don't even have to do anything. It gets fish's attention. So
Hmm.
a lot of my flies are done out of rabbit fur and deer hair. So my my next thing that I want to do, I've got the flies already made. A buddy of mine, me and him worked together and got some flies made. I'm wanting to catch a cobia down in saltwater on a fly rod, and I've got some flies that we made to look like eels. Believe it or not,
Huh.
they're on 10-aught circle hooks that I caught a bass on it, so I know it works. I know it's a huge hook for a poor little bass, but
Yeah.
the next step is I want to catch a cobia or a tarpon on one of those. Go like the next level with my fly fishing.
Yeah, you got. We were fishing one day. We were at this pond. We were on a berm, and we could see down below that there was a big bass on a bed. And we were pretty quiet, and we stayed out of the way so she couldn't see us. And we threw everything at her. We threw worms, jigs, spinner baits, jerk baits, every bass bait we thought that we could catch her with. And this went on for about an hour. And she just was not interested. As soon as we threw it into the bed, she'd swim out and then come back. And my buddy said, "You know what? I got a fly rod in my truck." And he put on a dry fly. And as soon as that thing hit the middle of the bed, he caught her. And it was 6.5 pounds.
Wow.
But yeah, she didn't want no part of that fly. That's the only thing she was interested in.
That's crazy. It's amazing how natural it's, depending on what you make, how natural the fly lures look like. But then on the other hand, some of my favorite lures, the flies that I've made, just are ugly. I mean, they just ended up being these ugly masses of fur that don't look like anything. And I've caught more fish on those than some of the really nice ones that I've made. So I don't know. For the carp, I actually made one out of foam to look like those fish pellets.
Oh,
Because a guy we know, he had some giant grass carp in his lake, and he fed them pellets. He told me, "Go for it, catch one on the fly rod," and that's what I did. It was like 38 pounds on a little piece of foam made to look like one of those catfish pellets.
that's pretty smart.
It worked. That's all that mattered. I mean, it absolutely got destroyed. I mean, it was useless after, but it got him. So
Matt from Want to Be Outdoors said he likes to fly fish. And they're mostly razzing Brian about
See,
open.
yeah, that's what I just saw.
I have a little video I'll send you of Brian.
All right. Yeah, I saw that. I saw that, and then you'd sent it to me too. That's
He fell asleep on the same show 2 times, 2 different times. He fell asleep, woke up 15 minutes later, left the show, then come back 15 minutes later, got back on the show, and fell asleep again. Poor Brian. Then I saw every bit of it.
oh no.
Yeah.
Well, at least he wants to spend every waking moment there. You got to give him a little bit of credit for that.
Yeah. Yep, I do, Mike.
So, Pat, what do you see for this year for the channel? What any new adventures or more of the same, or just
I
take it as it comes?
a lot of it's just kind of like, and as you get to know me more, a lot of my stuff is spur of the moment. It just when time allows. There are a few different series that I want to do video wise. They probably won't be lives. They'll probably be videos, but I'm going to start a series this year called "Let's Do Something Stupid," where I'm going to be using basically the wrong kind of tackle for the kind of fish that I'm going for. And speaking of fly rods, the first one's going to be I'm going to try to catch a big catfish on a fly rod. Now, I won't be using a fly because it's just, I don't think it's quite possible what I'm going to do because I'm going to be fishing in deep water. So I'm just going to have like a cut bait on a circle hook, and I'm going to feed it down. And I'm going to see if I can't get one of those 40 or 50-pound blue cats on a fly rod, and not a big fly rod either. I'm going to be using my my bass setup. So anybody in here who fly fishes, it's just an 8-weight. It's nothing major.
All right.
So that series sounds like a lot of fun to me. Me and my buddies, we used to do that anyway. So why not recreate it and put it on video, let you all see it.
That sounds great.
Oh yeah, there'll probably be a lot of fish caught on Barbie rods and fly rods and bass gear. So one of my favorite things that we used to do that I'm going to do again for that series is you've seen them in Walmart, the dock demons. We make those out, and we catch saltwater fish with them, and more than once we've had them blown up.
Wow.
So we'll be doing that, and then I don't know if it's possible, but I really want to hammer home the shark fishing this year. Last year I didn't get to do it as much, just travel, But this year I'm really hoping to get into it. I want to do some more of the actual trophy shark fishing. I'm going to be aiming for something 10 foot or bigger. So far the biggest that I've caught on rod and reel that I landed was 9.5 feet. Which is shared between two sharks. I've caught a 9.5-foot hammerhead and a 9.5-foot tiger shark. I would like to try to break that 10-foot mark. I've hooked big ones. I've hooked almost 14-foot hammerheads, but I don't like catching them because they can die easy. They fight till they die, and I just don't want any part of that. But luckily they always got off or whatever. And then we've hooked into stuff before. We never even got to see what it was. It absolutely burned my gear up. And I'm using like monster size reels. I've actually got one behind me. As a matter of fact, I could show you. We use stuff like this right here, which this is my old school 14-aught. And this reel here, as a matter of fact, that big hammerhead that we had on that almost 14-footer, he had smoke coming out of the side plate. He took about 600 yards of line off in probably less than 30 seconds.
Put him up a little bit bigger screen. I want to see that again. Dadgum. That's big.
Yeah.
How heavy is that?
The reel by itself weighs 10 pounds.
Yeah.
And this is an older reel. It's not as good as some of the newer reels, which I'm trying to get a hold of. This is one of my old school ones. It only gets about 40 pounds of drag if I lock it all the way down. And you're probably thinking, oh my God, 40, but 40 didn't even slow that hammerhead. He had this thing, he had it so low in the spool that at one point I was thinking we were going to have to cut the line because I've got a 150-pound line on here. It's even though it's 150, it's going to pull you over, So because I'm I fight in a harness at pretty much almost a lockdown drag, so there's going to be hopefully a lot more of this year. I kayak my baits out. I put it out on the beach and put a big chunk of meat in my kayak and paddle it, 400 or 500 yards out and drop it and all that good stuff.
My goodness.
Aren't you afraid of being dragged out to sea?
I mean, I try not to think about it. I'm crazier than I am smart, so it's worked most of my life. I'm hoping it'll continue to work.
I did get I got to go shark fishing once off the shore of Delaware, and ended up I got a 7.5 foot sand tiger. It was the only one we got all day long. But that was cool. We ate it. They staked it up for us there at the dock, and it was delicious. And we got to keep the jaws and got those cleaned up and all that. My buddy kept those.
They got huge. Sand tigers have got huge teeth. They're like steak knives coming out of their mouth. I like
Yep.
when you think of shark, their mouth is what I think of, because they've got huge, crazy looking teeth.
Yeah, that's what you see it a lot, at least in the Boston Aquarium where I grew up. Yeah, they have those in there because their teeth are so crazy.
Yeah.
And then I got to another trip off the Maryland coast. I got on a tuna trip, and I got an 84-pound bluefin. And not counting the shark, that's the biggest fish I've ever caught.
Wow.
So that was amazing. That thing fought like crazy. It had the whole harness and everything too, the big reel and all that too. And at one point they were backing the boat down on him so we could get line back. He was screaming.
And well, you said a harness, so it was in a conventional reel. Man, I've never caught a tuna species. That's something on my bucket list. I've seen people catch where I fish at in Florida, yellowfin tuna, and I've heard people say that bluefin are just a whole nother level compared to like the yellowfin and the blackfin tuna. Like their fight is just unbelievable.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy when we finally got him in the boat, and they took the harness off of me, and I was cranking with my right hand, and my muscles were so spasmed. One of the guys handed me a can of beer, and I couldn't close my hand, and it fell right through my hand, hit the deck of the guy's boat. He wasn't too happy with me.
I've done that a few times. Brian B, I see you said you'll catch a shark, but he'll get the hook out. I'll do it, buddy. I get them out all the time.
Yeah.
I got pictures where we hug them. I've been wrapped around them trying to get the hooks out of their mouth.
Wow. Not me.
That's that big old tiger shark I caught. I had to wrestle him a little bit.
I grew up in Boston, and obviously I'm a little bit older than you. I remember seeing Jaws when it was in the theater. And shortly, it was like a week afterwards, we went to the beach, and they ended up closing the beach because of the sharks off the shore that they could see. And it's like, I'm never going in there ever again. But I faded. But that to this day, because of when I saw it, that's the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. That movie, because I was raised on everything that my dad watched. Like when most kids were watching, Power Rangers and stuff, he's a little bit different parenting. He's tougher. So I was raised up on Jaws and Terminator and all that kind of stuff. That's one reason why I'm such a big nerd. But Jaws, that movie, is the reason why I got into shark fishing. Like just I don't know. It's the opposite. Instead of being afraid, I was like, "Holy crap! I wonder if I could catch that."
Yeah.
They were fighting it in the movie on a reel like that. The bigger one, the 16-aught, that's a 14.
Okay.
So there's one size bigger than that. That's what they were using in the movie. It's a 16-aught.
Wow.
In my mind, I'm thinking, well, if there's a reel that big, there's a reason they're really trying to catch fish like this on it. So from that day forward, I was like, okay, we're going to, even as a kid, we're going to start figuring this out. We're going to get these. And our first ones we caught were spinning gear, obviously just for money reasons and everything else. But my obsession with shark fishing really took off when we hooked one and it dragged me into the water. I was 13. It dragged me into the water. I had to fight to get back up on the beach, and spooled me. It took all of the line off the reel, broke it at the knot. When it did, the rod come back and hit me, split me open behind my ear. And from like that moment forward, I was like, okay, I'm now going to spend the rest of my life chasing y'all. This
Yeah.
is happening.
Yeah.
We got Daryl. He's heading out, so we said hello to him. So Daryl, Trophy Seekers Outdoors, and Tina Ladybug, she stepped in.
I'm not sure what's going on here.
Appreciate you
Brian
watching.
said, "Shall be serving arm soup with a side of fingers at the dock for one weekend special in memory of me." I must have been trying to get the hook out. I guess that's what that in reference to.
My wife's biggest fear right now is she told me, she's like, I know I'm going to be watching a live and I'm going to see you lose your hand. She's like, I just know it's going to happen.
Hey, Tina.
Tina Ladybug says hello.
Howdy. Brian B.
I see if we got anybody else in the chat. Yeah, I've noticed growing up over the years, there's been migratory patterns of the great whites has been changing, and they're showing up in a lot of waters where they never thought they would see them. And they were showing up off Cape Cod a lot, and long after Jaws came out. But some of these were really, really big ones too.
Oh yeah.
And they're showing them. Some of them. I've seen a video of one of that rammed some guy's boat. The guy wasn't even fishing for him, and they saw it coming, and he just rammed him. Like, wow.
I got a little funny story for you. First, hey Ladybug, I see you over there saying hey to me. So I've always been crazy. Like I just try to like out crazy the fear in some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I had a come to Jesus moment. It was last year because Chat Cats was fishing with me down there for sharks. I told him I would take him to experience shark fishing. We never got into any like monsters, but we were catching 5 to 7 footers. And I had to paddle a bait, which was at night. I don't like shark fishing during the day when there's swimmers. I do it at night. So
yeah.
I gotta paddle a bait, big bloody chunk of meat in a kayak by myself at night on the ocean. So I was out probably, I think I was 400 yards out at this point. Like I count like the paddle strokes to figure about how far I am. And I never took a headlamp. I always just took the lights for the boat. You know what I mean? So people can see me, but I never took a headlamp. This time I took a headlamp, and it was the worst mistake I ever made in my entire fishing career. Because I'm paddling. I'm like, oh, well, let's take a look with the light and see what's around me. I don't want to be around any buoys or anything. I turned my headlamp on, and I turned my head, and all I could see coming up to my kayak was this massive black shadow coming out of the deep water, coming straight for me.
Oh.
And it was huge. I got a 14-foot kayak. It was way bigger than my kayak. I'm thinking, oh my God, it's one of those great whites they've been seeing around Panama City because they've seen 4 or 5 now.
Wow.
And a kayak's a snack.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting here. I actually had to calm myself because I started panicking. I started breathing. I had to okay, calm down. It's probably coming to check you out. Let's don't freak out unless it does something crazy. Well, try to think. I was telling myself, just try to think, try to breathe. And it come right up to me. And it was a giant manta ray.
Oh, wow.
It was as big as a truck. It was massive.
Huh.
And I of course, I felt a little better because I was like, oh my God, it's not a shark. But then I was like, okay, I see him. What about all the stuff I don't see?
Right.
I turned my headlamp off. I threw the bait over the side. I said, this is far enough. And I went straight back in. So I am actually now, I'm trying to invest in it's called an AquaCat. It's a bait deployment boat. So I can maybe stop kayaking baits at night because I don't know how many more times my heart can see something like that. Because that was next level.
Yeah.
That kind of brings us into the future of your channels you got planned.
Hopefully that will happen the wait time on those is so long, it won't probably be this year. So they'll probably be kayaking this
Mhm.
year, but it'll be next year.
Yeah.
Oh, Real Beast, I don't know if you see his comment. He said, did Mama drop you on your head a few times? You ain't right.
I've always had a Superman
Uncle
complex.
Jeep. Did you get to meet Uncle Jeep at CatCon? He was there.
I'm not sure. There was a lot of folks I did get to meet, and then I missed a lot of folks. There was, if I didn't see you on Friday, I wasn't there Saturday. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, that probably was dropped on my head. I mean, I don't know too many people that do that. Florida, they all do that kind of stuff. They're Florida people. They're used to it. But
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
Georgia boy coming into saltwater as a kid, it's hard to, even before that, it was hard to get myself mentally prepared to go at night in a kayak. A lot of times, not even because of the sharks, it's because of the boats.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
I felt tiny in that kayak. Like
Mm.
just the sheer size of this thing coming up to me was just mind boggling. It's hard to comprehend unless
Yeah.
you see it. I mean, it was like a black truck coming up
Mhm.
from the water at me. I mean, it was that big.
Wow.
And luckily it was a manta ray.
Mhm.
But
I've seen stories of where they've like jumped out of the water and landed in people's boats, and people have actually died, because those are so massive.
Mhm.
I wasn't thinking about that at the time. I was thinking
Yeah, yeah.
something.
I saw an interesting thing one night. I was fishing down. I guess I was in Delaware, but it didn't matter. But anyways, I see this guy across from me in this little inlet, and he's standing on a rock, and he's got this big light on a pole right behind him. And I'm watching him, and I said, "What is he doing?" He's probably knee deep in the water on this rock off the bank. And all of a sudden, I see him move. He was using the light to draw the bait fish in, but he was spearing sharks as they were swimming around his feet. I was like,
Wow.
no, I mean, he probably got 7 or 8 of them in the time I was there watching him.
Mhm.
I mean, they were right next to him when he speared them. I'm like, you're crazy.
Yeah, no, man. I'm crazy, but I'm not. I'm not going to slap a shark in his waters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
be a
already
Scooby snack.
yeah. Now, because of the laws in Florida, you've really got to take care of the sharks if you release them. So I have to walk them out, usually about chest deep, to revive them. But
Okay.
usually
Mhm.
by that point, they're so tired, they're not worried about you. But every once in a while, one tries to turn around at me. I have to pull
Mhm.
him backwards to kind of take his momentum from me.
Yeah, let's see if we got anybody else. Anybody else? Get your questions in.
Ricky from Solo Tex Adventure stepped in. Hello to you.
Hello, Ricky.
We dagged on it just a little bit, but you have the future of your channel, something you want to add to it. And that's what you've been talking about.
Yeah. So one of the things that's always interested me, like I see channels, and this is actually like
Mhm.
some of it was before uh, YouTube, and then really a lot after YouTube. Before I started doing YouTube, I actually saw bass fishermen doing it first, believe it or not. It's
Mhm.
blacklight fishing at night. They would use fishing lines that would be picked up with blacklight. They were bass fishing. I don't know if you ever saw that or not, which blew my mind, because they were top
Mhm.
water fishing for bass. Uh,
Yeah.
and then I
Right.
got into YouTube and I started watching other YouTubers and I saw people like Chunky Cats and then later on Big Mike using black lights for catfishing.
Mhm.
Um, I actually, because one of my problems that I have with saltwater equipment is it's all black. You can't see it at night when you get a bite, especially shark fishing. Like you have to listen for a clicker and then use a flashlight, try to figure out which one it is. So this year, hopefully in a couple of weeks, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna start doing the black light fishing at night, but it's gonna be for saltwater fishing. Oh no, did I lose y'all?
No.
No, still there.
Accidentally hit a button. My screen went crazy. But I actually am. I've done took some, what do you call it, the black light paint. Like I talked to Chunky and was asking him what he used. I didn't want to copy him, you know what I mean? But
Right.
and kind of in a way get his blessing too, because I don't want it to look like I'm just doing what he does. But I was
Right.
like, this would be amazing for what I do in saltwater. Like I don't have to listen for the clicker anymore, because you lose a lot of bites on everything if you go by a clicker in saltwater. I like, circle hook, drag set. They hook themselves like for everything. Now with these rods and the black light, which Big Mike actually gave me the black light, I'm going to start doing the black light shows at night, saltwater fishing, and I think the first one's going to be for black drum.
Wow.
So it's going to be new and interesting. I was going to have to fine tune it a little bit because I've never done it. But I've already painted my surf rods. I've looked at them; they glow really good. So that's going to be pretty epic. And I'll use my Mad Cat rods too; they show up really good.
Oh, you use the Mad Cats too?
Oh yeah, I've used a bunch of different catfish companies. So far, the one I've settled on that I like the most is the Mad Cats.
Yeah.
Which ones do you have?
So I've got 2 10-footers, one in a casting, one in a spinning. I've got 2 of the kayak rods they just came out with. I got to get 2 more because I'm going to use those on my kayak. And then I've got their older Venom rod, that red and black.
Right.
7'6". I've got one of those. Matt Knight was telling me about a month ago he's coming out with the 2.0 version. It's going to be a brighter red, and it's going to show up under black lights. So,
nice.
I'm going to be getting some of those because something we didn't talk about that I'm going to do on my kayak is I'm setting up a rod rack, and I'm actually going to do more anchor fishing, and I'm actually going to have a spread of rods on the back of it whenever I anchor fish. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Catfish Regulators, Aaron, he's waiting to order the new Venom 2.0. So we do a lot of the night fishing off the dock, and we have some of the light up Mad Cats. I've got the Bolt and the Panther and the original Surge that show up pretty good, and the orange Catfish Down.
That's the Orange Crush right there. That's one of them.
Yeah, I think between he and I, we have almost every model except for the Gold Rush, because we didn't know how that would show up at night. But it really doesn't matter what the rod show. It does matter if you're going for effect just to see it light up. But as long as you have on line that lights up, you're pretty much good.
Right.
But the new rod that they're coming out with, that's going to be out the end of the month, it's called the Smash, and it's purple with the green.
I saw that.
Yeah.
I don't think I've got one nearby, but because I'm a nerd, that there's a lot of my fishing choices are also made around being a nerd. So I have the kayak rod, which is a green. It's the God, what's their color? Was it the Surge? Is their green?
Surge, yeah.
Yeah. So the kayak rod is the Surge green, and I've got purple Avid reels because they're Joker colors. They're the original Joker colors, the purple and the green. So I'm gonna have 4 of those on the kayak.
Nice. And I got we had an Uncle Lou's Christmas here.
Yeah.
I got an Uncle Lou's rod for Christmas, and so did Aaron. So we haven't get out that much this winter. It has been a cold winter. I've had a hard time getting bait, but I can't wait to start reeling in some fish on them, putting them to the works.
Nice.
I love the action on it. It's a little bit faster tip than the Mad Cats. And it feels like just as strong all the way up, and you just got that extra little bit at the end that I can't wait to hook into something big on it.
Right. I have an Uncle Lou rod I ordered, but I decided when I reach 1,000 subscribers, I'm gonna give it away. It's never been used. Which
Nice.
that's awesome. But the fishing junkie in me also wants to keep it because it's a dang nice rod.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
And I see you down there, Uncle Jeep. You're right. I'm also a Hulk fan,
Yep.
but I picked those colors for the Joker.
You've got a couple comments. Buck Williams, he said they make a jitterbug that you can put a glow stick in. And Travis Dyer wants to know, what lights do you think attract less bugs?
Honestly, I don't know. The black lights, I haven't even done that yet, so I'm not sure. But it can't be as bad, I would think, as just the regular white lights that I use. Because even on the beach, when the wind's blowing, them lights, you wouldn't even think there'd be bugs down there near the surf. But Jesus, they come out of everywhere. If there's not a strong wind, you're going to be covered.
Yeah.
Yeah. We noticed with our black light that we put on the dock, the mayflies were just drawn to it. Like at one point we had to go clean off the lens because it was getting dull because there was mayflies on every single part of this, and it was like a 12 by 12 square, and you couldn't see, the light was dull because of all the mayflies.
Wow.
So Solo Texan says his first experience on the Gulf, walked out about 200 yards and found himself surrounded by jellyfish. You don't know how he didn't get burned, but he made it back safely. So he ran on top of the water to shore.
Jellyfish definitely stink whenever I'm wade fishing. I always people laugh at me because I'm in like full pants and long sleeve shirts out there in the water, but it's because of jellyfish. I've actually been burned pretty good. And that's not something that I like to run into too much. First time I ever got stung by a jellyfish, they're clear, crystal clear when they're dry.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody being a jerk put one up on the pier and it dried to the rail. And I leaned my arm on the rail to fish. The next thing you know, I'm like, man, my arm is on fire. And I went to pull it up and the jellyfish pulled off of me. And it ate me up for a couple of days. My arm was swollen.
Wow.
I want no part in them after that.
One of my very first jobs, we grew up on a town right on the water, and I worked for the town, and I was, the crew that goes and empties the barrels in the public parks and stuff. But one of the trucks that I was on, we used to have to go to the beach, and I would go out there with big snow shovels and pick up the jellyfish and, put them in a bag. Yeah, so I know they look clear, crystal clear. You don't even know they're there. You got to be careful walking around out there.
Yeah, they're there when you put your arm on them.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Believe it or not, I won't get into it, but that was the least of the things that we had to pick up at the beach. So.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Let's see. Aaron's in the house. Welcome, Aaron. We were just talking about you, buddy. Hopefully, we're going to be fishing Friday night, looks like. Susquehanna Stan's in the house. I know he's been in earlier, but I don't know if we shouted him out.
Yep.
He says, you have to pee on jellyfish things. I'll take your word for that, Stan.
You ain't coming around me with that. Although rolling around in the sand and scrubbing my arm didn't help, so.
Yeah.
The lights, Travis says he mostly uses blue and green here in Tennessee, and Susquehanna Stan, he uses red lights. Where's he fish at? I forgot. He fishes pretty far off.
He's up in Pennsylvania on the Susquehanna River.
Yeah.
That's kind of the headwaters to the Chesapeake Bay.
Mm-hmm.
Travis, I see you down there, and I see that question: does the catfish in the ocean sting as bad as they say? So, for any of y'all that don't know, there's a myth or a rumor in saltwater that the catfish are poisonous. But I heard that my whole life and was scared of messing with them. Right? Like I didn't want to get poked by them because they're like, oh God, all these bad things that you hear people say. And turns out it's the same as any other catfish. They don't have any poison. They just have spines. They're just like our blue cats or channel cats. They're sharp, like a channel cat's, I guess. I mean, yeah, they hurt because you're being
Yeah.
stabbed, but they're not poisonous. And I used to hear people say you couldn't eat them. And then talking to an old timer, he's like, you can't eat them. Once again, it goes back to I'm crazy. So I ate some. I caught the sail cats and the hardhead catfish. We have eaten them. They taste just like channel cats. They're actually delicious. There is nothing poisonous about them at all. They just hurt when they stab you.
Yeah. There's a lot of things in the ocean that can hurt you. A lot of fish that you don't want to just grab a hold of.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many of them. I guess I know all the fish in the lakes and stuff and the rivers, but you don't know what a lot of those fish I can't even identify.
I still to this day don't know half the stuff that I catch. I mean, I tried to learn as much as I could, but every time we go, somebody catches something I've never seen before. I'm just like, good
Good night, Mark.
Not
Thanks
Mark.
for coming in.
See you, bud. Appreciate you coming.
Yeah, we were on one of the charter boats one time, and the guy down from me, I forget what kind of fish it was he had, but he was about to grab a hold of it. He had reeled it in, and the mate was yelling at him, "Don't touch that! Don't touch that!" I'll take his word for it. If they want to take it off, come on over.
Yeah. There's something I'm trying to think of the name of it. It's a type of slug you can catch down there. It's like a fire slug or something.
Huh.
If you ever see them, they look like a slug with glass needles all over them.
Oh, wow.
They will burn you up if you touch one of them things. Like it just is. I mean, just crazy the stuff that I've seen down there that you can catch. But the catfish, they're not something to worry about. You just, just like with a channel cat, just be careful where you put your hands. But we've eaten them before. There's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah, it's usually with the cats. I've learned, the ones that actually have stabbed me have been the tiny ones, the small ones. And that was the same with when I've been hooked while bass fishing, get a treble hook in your hand or something. It's always been on them small ones.
Yeah.
So I just learned to catch bigger fish.
Yeah, right. I will say those catfish down in the ocean, they don't get huge. They're mostly, 3 to 5 pounds, and the cell cats I think can get up to like maybe 15. I've never seen any bigger than that.
Yeah.
But no matter what size they are, all of their spines are sharp. They're all of them. So whether you caught like a little bitty one or you caught like a decent one, they will stab through your hand.
Oh, they still stay sharp.
They always stay sharp. They've done it to me. And I've seen some other people. They've done it to them. It's not fun.
Yeah, I did. I have caught one of the sail cats years ago, up in the Chesapeake Bay. But I didn't, that's a catfish, but I didn't know it had a special name. But until I was watching Jeremy, Jeremy DeFore, he caught one or two in one of his lives. And I said, "Oh, that's what I caught. That's exactly what it was."
Yeah. Yeah, skull rush. Yeah, that's what they're called, the gaff tops. We just call them sail cats. I mean, but it's the same thing. I actually love catching them. They fight hard, man. They're for their size, they're a hard fighting catfish.
Is
Michelle talking? Susquehanna says bullheads are the worst for poking you.
Actually, I don't think I've ever gotten stuck by a bullhead. I think the worst I've ever been stuck was a channel cat. As a little bitty guy, little bitty one. I went to try to get him off the hook, and he stuck me right through my thumb.
Yeah.
I like to never got him out either.
Yeah, the ones that got me were probably 4, 5, 6 inches, on the bait rod, them tiny little ones.
Yeah.
Where your hand is longer than the barb, so that as soon as they move, they got you.
Yeah.
We're approaching the 12 o'clock hour. If anybody's got any last minute questions and you get them in.
Let's see.
Goliath grouper. No, I don't fish that far south, Travis. That's a bucket list fish for me. And I was actually going to go fish with Captain Ben Chansey from that Chew on This YouTube channel. I was talking to him. It's been years back now. We were going to go fish for him, but I ended up some family stuff happened and we couldn't go. So I've never had a chance for a Goliath grouper, but I'm going to at some point. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't go for big sharks and not catch a giant grouper also.
Yeah, I've seen some of those videos of people catching them from shore. Some of those big ones on like a pier or whatever, and the guy's running back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those things, a couple 100 pounds, they'll pull you right over.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think they get close to like 600 pounds.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, and the guys that I've seen that do fish for them, they use like 1,000-pound mono, or cable wire,
Wow.
crazy stuff. They completely bend out 20-aught circles, and
Mm.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
So then, if you have a list of what is your bucket list of fish you would like to catch?
Top of the list is a Mako shark. That's the Ferrari of sharks. Like they run faster than a hammerhead, and they get huge, like big tiger sharks. They get massive,
And they jump.
They jump. Yeah, they're acrobatic. I mean, they got it all. If you want the ultimate like sports fish, I think that's probably it. Other than a marlin, I don't care about no marlin. I don't. I'm not worried about them.
Yeah.
But number one's the Mako. Number two is a halibut. I want to go to Alaska, catch a giant halibut. I love flounder. So what better to catch the biggest flounder possible?
Yeah, I'd like to do that too. Yep.
Yeah. And number three, because I got a whole list, but just the three. The third one is I want to go to Argentina, and I want to catch a golden dorado. That's supposedly one of the strongest pound for pound fighting freshwater fish. And their jaw structure is shaped like a bear trap. They're actually known for crushing through hard lures. Like they'll actually bite through big lures and stuff. And you got to use like the biggest freshwater tackle, like musky tackle, pretty much.
Yeah.
For them, and like they'll burn up big musky rod and reels, and they're acrobatic. They jump. So that's I think probably the one for Argentina, the golden dorado, is the one that's going to happen first. We were going to go we were going to go in 2020. We had gotten the money up. We were getting plane tickets. Me and my buddy were going to go for a week. There's a place you can go to. It's like a lodge, and it's all included with the price. This is going to be a once in a lifetime thing, and then COVID hit, and they shut down everything. Nobody could go anywhere, so it never happened. The halibut, yeah.
That's my missus stuff. We're both native New Englanders, so we love our flounder and halibut.
Oh man! At some point, I'm going to find somebody. If we get a group up, we'll go get them. Like I just need somebody going to go with me. That's all.
Yeah. Now, have you ever heard of a knife clownfish?
Yeah, there's you can catch them down in South Florida.
Right.
They're one of the rarest fish you can go for down there.
Yeah, I've seen some of the shows on them. It kind of interested me. Go down there and do that, and some peacock bass fishing.
Yeah, peacock bass, that would be cool. We did a missions trip a couple years back for a church. They needed some people to come help them build a church, so we went. They needed construction guys, and darn it, I was one trip. I missed the trip where, as a gift, they took them peacock bass fishing, like actually down there in like the Amazon or wherever. And I'm like, dang man, of course I missed that one, But the next best thing is I'm going to go to Florida somewhere down in the South and try to catch them.
Yeah.
They don't get nowhere near as big as like they do over there, but
Yeah.
they still are good fight.
Yeah, they have introduced the peacocks all over like southern Florida. They're seeing them even in like on golf course ponds or something. I've seen a couple, where they put them in there. And every video I see, that all they use is top waters for them, and that's the bite is amazing.
God, that's going to happen too, but that's not quite as high up on my bucket list. I got those top 3 that I really want to go get.
Yeah.
Of course, then the Goliath grouper, he's in the top 10. He's somewhere in there, but
Yeah.
the Mako, I think, is going to be the one that I'll probably have like one shot at.
Yeah.
Then, the halibut, I feel that one will probably be able to make that happen, and the Dorado, that's probably going to be a once in a lifetime kind of trip. So
yeah. I was kind of big on the coming from the bass background. I was big on the peacock bass because it was a bass.
right.
But now, as I'm getting into all these other fish, the catfishing community and all that, I'd love to go catch one of them spoonbills.
Oh yeah. I actually caught one in Mississippi, believe it or not. He wasn't big though. He was well, I mean, he looks big because they got a nose as long as their body. I think it was like 30 pounds. I caught him by accident. Like, you got to snag them anyway. But I was striper fishing. And I hung him in the back and caught him. So I've actually caught one. But as far as the big ones, I see guys up in Tennessee when I'm up there catfishing, snagging for them, and they're getting them like 80, 70, 80 pounds. They look ridiculous.
Huh. Yeah, I've been. I see Stan still in here. I was kidding with him. I told him my goal for this year was a 333-pound sturgeon caught off of our dock, and I said that'll be the heck of an accomplishment because we don't have sturgeon in our lake. So, but that's my goal.
Oh God, got to one up him.
In fact, he had a comment here. They've caught cow nose rays here in Virginia, nothing close to 7-foot span, but probably 3 or 4. Yeah, I've hooked into a bunch of them and never been able to land one because I didn't have a pier net. But I've caught some really large ones, and they use them here. Some of the seedier restaurants, they'll buy those, and they'll use like a little cookie cutter, and they'll cut out stamps out of there, and sell them for scallops.
Scallops,
because they're so close.
We catch them, and they're one of the prime shark baits. Those cow nose rays, because crabs won't eat them. They'll stay on the hook for days. If you're out there for days, they'll be on the hook. So they're incredible bait. Scallops, I don't know about that, but if it tastes good, I really don't care where it come from.
Yeah. And I know they had said, going back maybe 15, 20 years, but a lot of restaurants, when the Mako were more plentiful, they were using them and selling them as swordfish.
Yeah.
I think we missed one thing. Did you go over your show good enough on Mondays? Tell what time and everything? What you do?
Yeah, I can. I'll go over it with everybody. So, I started my little live show every Monday night, as long as we have guests, of course. It's Monster Mondays, where I bring somebody on and I let them talk about their biggest or their best catch, or multiple catches. I like to make that show all about whoever's on there. That goes back to my family's tradition. We sit around bonfires and talk about big fish. Most of them it's bass because that's all they care about. But that was a tradition that I thought would be a good idea to bring here. We originally started it back when Real Beast started, before it was even a YouTube channel. It was just a Facebook group, and we would get a picture from somebody in their story, and we would put it on the Facebook page. Well, once I started doing lives, I realized we could bring that tradition here and make it a live show. So it's every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. I bring somebody up and let them talk about their fish, and one thing that a lot of people I've talked to, you got to get in your head, a monster that you see other people catch may not be your monster.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be catfish because I'm a multi-species fisherman. Like I love catfish, like they're my number one thing I go for. But
Mhm.
um, if your monster is a 3 pound bluegill, that's a monster.
Mhm.
Or 222 pound sturgeon, that's a monster. Um,
Yep.
so don't be afraid to, if you want to come up, you can shoot me an email or you can message me on Facebook. We'll set up something. But whatever your monster is, we can talk about it. My personally, which there will be at some point on Monster Monday, mine is a 500-pound tiger shark that I
Wow.
caught in Florida. So at some
Mhm.
point, y'all will see that. You
Great.
can always go and find the video on my channel, but at some point, that will be a Monster Monday. Next up is going to be actually Lance, the Hawaiian fisherman. He's going to be my next
Mhm.
Monster Monday. And then the next couple after that are going to be, I believe, local fishermen, local YouTubers that I have here in my town. They're small
Mhm.
time like I am, and they want to come on and talk. So there's going to be a few
Mhm.
of my local people.
Great.
Awesome.
There goes Lance there.
Mhm.
Lance says he wants to visit family in Texas and go bull red fishing with blue crabs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't know about Texas, but we do that down in Florida. I love it. That's actually what I'm going to be doing the 28th of this month. We're going down there, and that's going to be the first black light live. We're using whole blue crabs for redfish and black drum off the pier.
Okay.
Uncle Jeep has a comment. My monster lives in my closet. I haven't been in my room for months. That's great. Let's see. Yep, Stan, we're talking Monday night. Yeah, for a long time, it's not the size of the fish, it's the size of the excitement it brings you. That's
Mhm.
awesome, Stan. It's right on.
It is pretty awesome when it's a 200-pound fish. Also, I'm
Mhm.
Yeah.
saying, it just the size helps a little bit.
Yeah.
When it's as big as your boat, there's some excitement.
Yeah. I remember watching that live, and then I told Stan afterwards, I said, I got to be honest, I was a little afraid for you because he was looking pretty labored. But yeah, when he was fighting that fish a couple of times, he would look like he was close to falling out.
I think
But
we all look like that.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
But he was a trooper. He stuck it out, and they got him.
Yep.
Yep.
That's what I was telling him. I'm like, there were a few parts, and because I had to go back and watch it, I didn't see it when it happened,
Mhm.
and
I did.
there was a few parts when you could tell, like he was, oh, come on, fish,
Yeah.
please.
Yeah,
Uh, Something inside me, I guess everybody really that fishes, something kicks in. If you ever get to a point where you're just dog tired on a fish, there's just like this animal that's like,
Mhm.
I don't care if my arm falls off, this fish is coming in. Like
Yeah.
I
yep,
had, that multiple sharks. I've literally my hand was so numb I couldn't even feel it anymore. I actually had to hook the rod with my wrist because my
huh,
hand kept dropping it. I was like, "This." I
Mhm.
At this point, I'm either going in with you or you're coming up here with me.
Mhm.
There's nothing in between now because
yeah,
I've done had you on for 40 minutes or 30 minutes. I'm gonna see you. And I think actually, and I know y'all probably trying to wrap it up, but the worst fight I ever had was that 25-pound stripe. I caught it
Mhm.
on, I think it was 4 pound line or 6 pound line.
wow,
It was
Mhm.
a 45-minute fight because I
yeah,
couldn't lift him up.
huh,
He did whatever he wanted to for the entire time. It was
yeah,
the last like 30 seconds that he was actually tired enough that I could kind of get him to come up. But that mono, that 6 pound line it was clear when I first put it on the reel. By the time we got him, it was so stretched, it was white.
wow.
I had to throw take it all off the reel after that fish. It was worthless.
Mhm.
Yeah, I years ago I was fishing freshwater from the bank, and it was the year of the locust at that time back in Maryland, and all you could see were fish busting everywhere, hitting these locusts. They were hitting the water, and I thought they were bass. And I said, "Oh my God, this is nirvana! Here it is." And it turns out that they were carp, and they were big carp eating those things. And I had an old Mitchell 300, which are reels you can't destroy. But they were. I caught so many of them, and they were so big that destroyed the drag on that thing that afternoon. In one afternoon, when I had to leave because it didn't work anymore.
Those are strong reels too. My dad
Yeah.
still got his to this day. He still got his 300.
Yeah, I have one from the 70s. Yeah, that I still have. Yep.
It still runs. It's hard to believe you killed that thing.
Yeah, one of them broke, and the other one I still have. Yep. Let's see. Do we have any more? We'll let you go. Stan says, I do believe I did black out a few times during that fight, but bring it on this year. I don't smoke anymore, so I've definitely got better oxygen levels this year. Yes, you do. I told Stan, it's no secret. When I saw him, he looked so much better. He's lost a ton of weight.
Yeah.
And he quit the smoking, and his mobility is so much better, and I'm just happy for him.
Yeah.
I want to see what this year brings him.
See, but now the universe is going to balance itself. Now that he can breathe better and fight better, he's going to get that 555-pound surgeon.
That's it.
All over again.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. I don't think I see any more questions. Why don't we say our good nights to everybody? We appreciate you hanging with us, Pat. It's been a great talk. I've enjoyed it.
Thanks for letting me come on and talk with everybody and talk with y'all. It's been fun. I always get
It's been a great night.
Somebody asks me to come on their show or whatever, because it's still not in my head yet that like I'm doing this whole YouTube thing. It's still kind of weird to me at this point.
Well, that was kind of like me at Capcom. It's like I had a shirt on that said LG Bass on it, but for the most part, people would come up to me and they knew me, but they're in the chats. I only know them by their name, but I didn't know who they were until they told me. I was like, all these people want to talk to me. It was humbling. It was a great experience, though.
Yeah, for any of y'all that were there that did talk to me, if I seemed awkward, it's because I am awkward. I get a little nervous sometimes in a crowd, and there were literally so many of y'all trying to talk to me. I was having like my brain freeze. Like,
yeah,
if you give me a little bit of time, I can warm up and I can be a better person to talk to. But I was so like overwhelmed with everything going on in there. I probably looked like a deer in headlights at that point.
I know what you mean. I'm a little shy like that too, but it really didn't bother me that much at Capcom because I talked to them so much in chat. I already knew them. Just as soon as they said their name, it's like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it worked for you, but for me, it was like, oh man, this is real life.
Mhm.
They're in front of me. It's like, okay, well, what do I say? I'm like, well, shoot, I've been talking to him for months now on the live. I should know by now.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stan says he was pretty shy and quiet.
Get out of here. Get out of here with that. You're lying to folks.
I did get him to sign one of his sturgeon pictures for me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to get a frame for it. So, all right, well then, Pat, don't go anywhere when we close out here. I'll talk to you just for a few minutes.
Okay.
But thank you, everybody, for coming in. We still have 29 people. I think we were up around 40 was the high that I saw. We appreciate each and every one of you. And if we missed any questions or comments, we're sorry. But we appreciate you all coming out. And everybody have a great night. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Bye.